The rain hammered against the apartment window like a relentless reminder of everything Marcus couldn't control. His 7-year-old twin daughters, Emma and Sophie, pressed their faces against the glass, their breath fogging the surface as they watched other children being picked up by parents in warm cars. Marcus stood behind them, his work uniform still damp from his double shift at the warehouse, calculating in his head for the 100th time whether he could afford both groceries and the electricity bill this month. "Daddy, are you sad?" Emma asked, turning around with those impossibly perceptive eyes that seemed to see straight through his carefully constructed facade of strength. "Just tired, sweetheart," Marcus replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. The truth was, he was drowning. Since Sarah's death 2 years ago, every day felt like running uphill in quicksand. The babysitting arrangements kept falling through. His job was hanging by a thread due to his frequent absences, and the girls deserved so much more than the hand-me-down clothes and generic cereal he could barely afford. The doorbell rang, cutting through his spiral of worry. Through the peephole, he saw a young woman with kind eyes and a genuine smile, her designer jeans and pristine sneakers somehow managing to look both expensive and understated. "Mr. Chen, I'm Isabella Rodriguez. I responded to your babysitting ad online." Marcus opened the door, immediately struck by her warmth. Isabella didn't look like the typical college student he'd expected. There was something polished about her, yet she knelt down immediately to the twins' eye level, introducing herself with an enthusiasm that made both girls giggle. "I have to be honest," Marcus said, ushering her inside their modest living room with its second-hand furniture and toys scattered across the worn carpet. "The pay isn't much, $15 an hour, and some weeks might be regular depending on my work schedule." Isabella waved off his concern. "That's perfectly fine. I'm more interested in spending time with Emma and Sophie than the money." Something about her response puzzled him, but the way his daughters immediately warmed to her was undeniable. Within minutes, Isabella was on the floor building an elaborate castle out of blocks while the twins chatted about their favorite books and dreams of becoming astronauts. Over the following weeks, Isabella became more than just a babysitter. She became a lifeline. She arrived early and stayed late without complaint, helped with homework, prepared nutritious meals that somehow appeared in his refrigerator, and brought educational toys that she claimed were extras from her previous jobs. The twins adored her, and for the first time in years, Marcus felt like he could breathe. "She's different, Daddy," Sophie observed one evening after Isabella left. "She makes everything feel possible." Marcus knew exactly what his daughter meant. Isabella had a way of turning ordinary moments into small adventures. She taught the girls Spanish phrases, helped them plant herbs in coffee cans on the fire escape, and always seemed to have exactly what they needed, from band-aids for scraped knees to encouraging words for difficult math problems. But it was the small, almost imperceptible things that began to puzzle Marcus. Isabella's phone was always the latest model. Her clothes, while casual, bore subtle designer labels. She spoke fluent Spanish, French, and what sounded like Mandarin when she helped Emma with a school project about different cultures. Most telling of all, she never seemed to need the money he paid her, often leaving it on the kitchen counter in case you needed for groceries. The truth unraveled on a Tuesday afternoon when Marcus came home early due to a power outage at the warehouse. Through the slightly open apartment door, he heard Isabella on a phone call that made his blood run cold. "Yes, Dad, I understand the board meeting is important, but I told you I have commitments here." "No, I'm not wasting my time. These children need someone who cares about them." "Look, Rodriguez Industries will survive without me for a few more hours. Emma has a spelling test tomorrow, and Sophie is finally starting to trust me with her feelings about her mother. Marcus stood frozen in the hallway. Rodriguez Industries are their massive conglomerate whose logo he saw on billboards throughout the city. The company whose CEO was frequently featured in business magazines as one of the youngest, most successful entrepreneurs in the country. He pushed open the door to find Isabella helping the twins with their homework at the kitchen table, her face lighting up when she saw him. "Marcus, you're home early. How was work?" "We need to talk," he said quietly, nodding toward the living room. Isabella's expression shifted, recognizing the seriousness in his voice. After settling the girls with their coloring books, she followed him, her shoulders set with quiet resignation. "You're Elena Rodriguez," Marcus said, not asking but stating. "Your father is Carlos Rodriguez, CEO of Rodriguez Industries." Elena closed her eyes briefly before nodding. "Yes." "Why?" The single word carried the weight of his confusion, hurt, and growing anger. "Why lie to us? Why pretend to be someone you're not?" Elena sat down heavily on his second-hand couch, her designer facade melting away to reveal something raw and vulnerable. "Because for the first time in my life, someone needed me for who I am, not what I can provide or what connections I can offer." Her voice broke slightly. "Do you know what it's like to never be certain if people care about you or your bank account? To wonder if every friendship, every relationship, every conversation is calculated around your family's wealth? When I saw your ad, something about it touched me. A single father, working double shifts, asking for help with his daughters. No mention of money beyond what was absolutely necessary. Just love. Desperation born of love. Marcus felt his anger wavering, but the betrayal still stung. So this was what, some kind of social experiment? Rich girl plays poor for a few weeks. No. Elena stood up, her eyes flashing with fierce determination. "This was the most real I've ever felt in my entire life. Emma and Sophie don't care that I can buy them anything they want. They care that I remember Sophie is afraid of thunderstorms and that Emma likes her sandwiches cut diagonally. They care that I listen when they talk about missing their mother and that I never tried to replace her memory." Tears began flowing down her cheeks. "And you trusted me with the most precious things in your world based on nothing but my character. You never asked about my background, my family, my connections. You just saw someone who cared about your children and opened your home to me." Marcus watched her cry, his own emotions churning. The woman in front of him wasn't the privileged heiress he'd imagined. She was someone who had found something she'd been searching for her entire life: an authentic human connection. "The money you left on the counter," he said slowly. "The toys, the groceries that somehow appeared. I never wanted you to struggle," Elena admitted, "but I knew you were too proud to accept charity. I thought if I was subtle enough." She laughed bitterly. "I'm not very good at subtle, apparently." From the kitchen came the sound of the twins arguing over crayons, their voices carrying the comfortable rhythm of children who felt safe and loved. Both adults turned toward the sound, reminded of what really mattered. "They love you," Marcus said quietly, "not because of what you can give them, but because of who you are with them. Patient, kind, present." Elena wiped her eyes. "And they love you with a fierceness that takes my breath away. Do you know Sophie draws pictures of you as a superhero? She told me you're stronger than anyone because you take care of them all by yourself." The weight of the revelation settled between them, not as a barrier but as a bridge to deeper understanding. "I don't want your money," Marcus said finally, "but I don't want to lose who you are to our family either." Elena looked up, help flickering in her eyes. What are you saying? I'm saying that Elena Rodriguez, the woman who makes my daughters feel like they can conquer the world, is welcome here anytime. But I need honesty. No more pretending. No more mysterious groceries appearing. If you want to be part of our lives, it has to be real. Elena nodded, fresh tears streaming down her face. I want real more than anything. From that day forward, their relationship transformed into something neither had expected but both desperately needed. Elena continued caring for the twins, but now she brought her whole self a business knowledge that helped Marcus negotiate a better position at work, connections that opened doors for educational opportunities for the girls, and most importantly, a love that wasn't based on need or transaction but on genuine family bonds. Marcus learned to accept help not as charity but as love expressed through action. Elena learned that true wealth wasn't measured in dollars but in the sound of children's laughter, in quiet moments of connection, and in being valued for the content of her heart rather than the size of her trust fund. Months later, as Marcus tucked his daughters into bed, Emma looked up at him with those same perceptive eyes that had seen through his sadness that rainy day. "Daddy, are you still sad?" Marcus smiled, this time the expression reaching all the way to his eyes. "No, sweetheart. I'm grateful." Through the thin walls of their apartment, they could hear Elena in the kitchen, humming while she prepared lunch for the next day. The sound was better than any symphony, a melody of belonging that reminded them all that family isn't always born, sometimes it's chosen, nurtured, and built through the simple revolutionary act of showing up with an open heart. In a world that often felt cold and transactional, they had discovered something precious, the profound beauty of loving and being loved for exactly who they were, nothing more and nothing less than beautifully, imperfectly human.